Kia. Oh, I have to document a dream I had. It was so bizarre. I've been sitting here trying to figure out what the hell it meant while I was paying my bills. I think I understand what it means, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to document it. I dreamt I was at my parents' house, the house that we lived in, that my dad died in, that my parents died in, Tweed Street in Palmerston North. But my bedroom was my bedroom at my ex's house, at my baby daddy house, at Chris's house. And I had this sudden urge to get out of the house. I was asleep in bed and I had this urge to get out of the house. It was in the middle of the night. Chris and the boys were asleep. And I got up and took off out of the house. And these three young girls, were saying, come this way, come this way, come over here, come this way. So I ran and we had to climb over a fence, and then we were hiding at the back of these houses. And the youngest one of the girls said to me, smoke this joint while you're waiting. And so I was smoking this joint. It was like a half smoked one. And so I was smoking it, and we were peeking through the fence, watching the house. And then I went back inside and hopped back into bed. And when I hopped back into bed, I realised that my bed had been moved from the wall and my room was a mess, like it had been turned over. And I went into Chris's room, which was my parents' living room. The living room had been turned into his bedroom. And I said to him, what the hell happened in my bedroom? Who's been in my bedroom? And he said, oh, it was the police. And I said, why the hell were the police in my bedroom? And he said, because they were looking for stolen property. And I was like, I beg your pardon? And he goes, yeah, apparently they were looking for some stolen underwear. And I was like, I beg your pardon? Like, what the hell's going on? And I was just like thinking, oh my God, like, what the hell's going on now? What's happened now? And he goes, yeah, apparently someone made a claim that you stole some underwear. And I was like, what underwear? And he said the name of it, and it started with S. And the way he was describing it, which I didn't figure out until after I woke up, it was fetish underwear. The kind that you put strap-ons in. Which he's designed in real life. He's designed the strap-on part. And I was so offended. I was so pissed off and I was so offended. And I was like, who the hell has accused me of stealing fetish underwear? And he wouldn't look at me. And I said, so what's happening? I said, am I getting arrested? Am I getting charged? And he goes, no, they left a letter saying don't do it again. And I'm like, what? Like, none of it made sense. And I said to him, who the hell's accused me of stealing fetish underwear? And he wouldn't look at me. And I said, show me the letter that the police left. And he was like, oh, no, no, you wouldn't understand it. And I said, well, if they've left a letter for me, it's for me, give it to me. I want to see what the hell they've said. And he wouldn't let me see it. And so I went to my mum and I said to my mum, who was asleep in the bed, but it wasn't really my mum. And I said, someone's been accusing me of stealing fetish underwear, blah, blah, blah. And I was so upset because I was like, I am not a thief. I was saying to you, I am not a thief and I am not going to stand for being told that I'm a thief. And she was like, well, the police are going to sort it out. Don't worry about it. Just let the police do their job. And I went back to Chris and I bent down and I looked in his face and I said to him, I'm going to sort this out with the police once and for all. I said, because I'm not going to be called a thief. And I said, and I'm not a liar. And I said, who made these claims? And he wouldn't look at me. And he just, every time I went to look at him, he kept looking away. And I said, I'm going to the police station. He was like, I'll drive you. So I was like, come on then. And then the boys got up out of bed and they were like, what the hell's going on? And I said, come on, get into the car. We're going to the police station. And they were like, but they were only like about 3 and 4, but they were talking like they were adults. And my eldest was like, oh God, here we go again, sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, tell me about it. But when we went to get into the car, he was making me sit in the boot. And I was like, why am I sitting in the boot? And he goes, well, I thought you'd be more comfortable there. And I was like, I was getting angry because I knew he was hiding something. And it's like he was trying to put me off, trying to figure out what it was he was hiding. And me being so pissed off is what woke me up, because I was made to sit in the boot. Like he'd moved a car seat to the boot. And so I've been sitting here trying to figure out what the hell it all means. And I was thinking, have I got unresolved anger because I haven't gotten justice for everything he accused me of? Which I think is part of it, but I think that the girls, me being told to get out of the house is pretty much exactly what happened. I was being told to fight for myself. He's the one that wears the fetish. He's the one that has the fetish for underwear. And he designed the sex toys to go in the underwear in real life. And what I was figuring out was the three young girls, the girls that came to me who were victims of what my ex had done, I had asked them if at any point he had asked them in their sexual encounters if he had wanted them to use anything on him, because I was trying to figure out why he kept coming home with biological materials on the front and back of his boxer shorts that I had to keep washing. And so this is what I was trying to figure out in the dream. Am I dealing with unresolved issues because I haven't gotten justice yet? Am I psychologically because people keep telling me to drop the case against him, like what's done is done, leave it in the past, just let it go, and I can't do that. I refuse to do that. But then it's what my mum said. My mum said, let the police do their job. So, are they investigating everything again? It's like that dream that I had with the boys being held at the school at my dad's army camp, with Chris with the treasure map. I was furious because I was saying to my mum, I've got a reputation to uphold and I'm not going to stand being called a thief. So did he try to say that I stole something as well? Because I know he stole... Is it that he's tried, because he stole all my stuff to sell on eBay and he stole my books, and Did he try to say to the police that they were his ideas and I stole his ideas? But now the police are investigating it because I was saying it's a false claim. They've made a false claim and he wouldn't let me look at the paper, at the letter that the police had left. So I'm wondering whether Chris tried to say that my books that he stole, like Obot and all that, from Thomas the Robot and that, I'm wondering whether he's trying to say that my books and the products that he was selling on eBay were his ideas. But because I've been able to prove that they're mine, the police must be going to investigate it again. Or they are investigating it again. Because my mum was laying down in bed. Like she was sleeping, which means mum connecting to me in my dream and saying, let the police do their job. So I'm wondering whether I'm being told that the police investigated Chris's claims and my mum saying let them do their job. Because the smoking of the weed, remember, marijuana in dreams means like a higher perspective, from a higher conscious perspective. But it was half smoked, which means looking back on things from a higher perspective, that there's things to be looked at from a higher conscious perspective that need to be re-examined because it was the backyard and it was my parents' house. In order to figure things out, looking at things from a higher perspective, about things that have been kept hidden because we were hiding in the backyard, peeking around the fence. So I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. There's something going on behind closed doors that my parents are letting me know about in my dreams that I don't know about in real life, and it's got something to do with my investigation, with what happened to me. The fact that he put me in the back seat or in the boot, in the car seat, means not only trying to disregard, trying to hide, trying to cover up the event by treating me like a child. That whole gaslighting thing, because he's been trying to get people to talk me into dropping the case. I've had so many people from the past come to me and say, just drop it, just drop the case. Well, you know, what's done is done, leave it in the past. And I'm like, no. You can't let someone get away with sexual assault. You can't let someone get away with being a sexual predator, because he didn't just do it to me, he did it to other women as well. And they were looking up to me to be the one to help take him down. When I take him to court, They're going to be witnesses in the case, and then they get to tell their story too because they're scared of him. But I'm not scared of him. I'm scared for my children. But it's the fact that the cops came in after I left and was hiding and peeking around while smoking a half-smoked joint. It means that there must be stuff going on behind closed doors that I'm not being told about, that I don't know about. And my mum's saying, let the police do their job. Don't worry about it. Let the police do their job, which means my mum is saying the police are looking into everything that was done. They're going through all the evidence because my bedroom was turned upside down. They pulled out everything in my wardrobes. I was pissed off because like my room was a mess. Have they gone to the house to like test the carpet or something? Because remember, he tried to kill me in that room, and then he tried to say that he had to clean the room within an inch of his life because I was filthy, which wasn't true. It's because I said to Gabriel, it's because he threw the pizza on the bed, and I left the plate and that on the floor, and he would have been trying to clean the evidence. He cleaned the oven too, and he never cleans the oven. So, but yeah, they went through everything and they couldn't find what they were looking for in regards to incriminating me. But they'd left stuff for him that he wouldn't let me see. So they must, I don't know if my mum's trying to say that the police have gone through everything he said about me and haven't found any evidence that I was guilty, but they've found evidence on him, or they're looking into him and like Martin and all of that. There's some court case going on. There's something going on legally behind closed doors where I got the blame, where they tried to say I'd stolen from them or something, and it's the police haven't been able to prove it, and now it's coming back on them, which is just like the dream I had where I called him into my room to look at the treasure map. And he was talking about the stuff getting stolen from his shed. There's something going on. My mum is telling me my mum and my dad are telling me there's something going on behind closed doors in regards to what Chris and Martin did and accusations they made about me that aren't true. And the law's on my side. And the law's on my side. And are they trying to hide? Are they trying to hide the fact that they know they're about to be found guilty? Huh. I remember where I was screaming at him. I was saying, when I find out, I said, if I find out you've got anything to do with this, I said, I'm going to ruin your life. And he was like, I'm not. Look, like he was scared of me. But he wouldn't look at me. But he wouldn't let me see the paper. The police had left a note on my bed and he wouldn't let me see it. Oh, you wouldn't understand it, he said. It just says don't do it again. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm being accused of stealing something, but they're saying don't do it again. Like everything he was saying wasn't making any sense, which means people have started figuring out, or the police have figured out, now that they've looked at everything with everything I've produced, because they went through my bedroom. So they've looked at everything that I've produced and looked at his stuff and realised that the stuff he's saying doesn't make any sense. They've realised, maybe they're about to realise, that he's committed perjury. Because I have been able to prove he was in that relationship with Santaro. I have been able to prove he was in the relationship with that Katie. Although how the hell I figured out her name was Katie that night, it can only have been because of the cocaine he put in my pizza. I had no idea. I thought, who I thought I was talking about wasn't. I thought her name was Katie, thinking it was someone else, but it turns out the woman he was seeing was really called Katie. So I have proof he committed perjury. And the fact that Santaro, because in the police report he says she claims I'm having a relationship with Santaro, and it's not true, blah, blah, blah. So they decided I was delusional, not taking into account he'd just fed me cocaine. But I also said he was seeing someone called Katie. And this is all in the police report, and I was right. He was seeing Santaro. She admitted it. When I called her out for it, she shut her channel down. And he was seeing someone called Katie. Turns out who I thought he was seeing was a completely different name. But I thought her name was Katie, and I said Katie, and the woman he was seeing, Katie Hamilton, her name really was Katie. And they stole my bakery. Psycho Bakes Wakefield. They stole my oils, selling them as pagan ritual oils on eBay and that. But my oils are beauty products, and my honey of Isis oils. So this dream, I think, is saying the cops are working on it, or the law has figured out I was telling the truth the whole time. That I'm telling the truth. I'm just trying to work it all out, because I was hiding behind the fence peeking. So I've been kept on the outside of something. I'm being kept out of like a loop. I'm being left out of something for my own protection, while the police investigate the claims, because something he said isn't adding up, wasn't adding up. The stuff that the claims made against me aren't adding up. And my mum's saying, just let the police do their job. Okay, well, so I guess I'm about to get news then that he's been caught out. Him putting me in the boot and treating me like a child, putting me in the car seat, trying to treat me like a child, trying to keep everything. Well, I mean, the boot of a car is. So he's got something to do with why I'm shadow banned. He's got something to do with my limited reach on social media, and maybe even to do with why my phone gets switched off every now and then. but he's trying to downplay it. He's trying to downplay what he did to me, which is why he put me in the kiddie seat, treating me like, because I think he was trying to make out like I was useless, like I couldn't do anything, without telling people it was because he was controlling every aspect of my life. What I wore, what I ate, whether I was allowed to get money, whether I was allowed to get my teeth fixed, whether I was allowed to get prescriptions. He paid for everything. He made sure that he paid for everything so that he can control everything. But like the EU and all that, I will take care of you by doing everything for you, but it's actually so they can control every aspect of your life. Because that's what the deal was. Until you sort yourself out and get to America, just stay with me and look after the boys, and I'll pay for your room and board and take care of you if you don't move out, so that I don't have to pay childcare. Paid maintenance. So I said okay, thinking, well, it was a good deal. Not realising it was so that he could keep a chokehold on me so that I couldn't leave and go to America. But I think God is saying, well, you're going to America, and him and Martin are going to pay for it. Because there's something going on legally behind closed doors that I'm being kept out of, that I'm not allowed to be made aware of, and I think it's to do with my own protection because of the fact that police in dreams represent security, personal security, legal protection and personal security. And the fact that my room had been turned upside down means that they're going over everything, that everything has been looked at. They're going over everything. And they couldn't find what they were looking for with me, but they found something with him that he wouldn't let me see. And because it's something he has in his hand or something he held in his hand, something he has didn't make sense. And now they're looking at him. It doesn't add up. And that's his statement. I've got a copy of his police statement. And it's all lies. And I've been able to prove since, thusly, and with Santero, that he lied, which is perjury. So he committed perjury to get me locked up, to accuse me of things that he's guilty of. And I don't know if he's tried to say that the books and his products and that were his ideas and I stole them from him. But now, because I've been able to prove literally the origin story of all my products and all my books, he can't. He suddenly became an author just before he tried to kill me, whereas I've got proof I've been writing stories since before my kids were born. I've got proof that I was working on all my products and that. His products suddenly came out of nowhere, whereas I've got proof I've been working on my products since I was a kid, because I'm discussing them with my sister on Instagram. So I can prove my origin story. He can't. And I think maybe that's what my mum was saying, why they were going through all my stuff in the dream, and why it was that bedroom at his house that he's in right now, because that's where, when I was recovering from surgery, when he stabbed me in the shoulder and I had to have emergency surgery with that dirty needle, I was working on all my products and that while I was recovering from surgery in that bed. I was coming up with everything in that room. So it's to do with whatever's going on is to do with what happened that night and the reasons why he did it. Which is so funny because it'll be on PC Violet's and PC Lewis's chest cam. Me telling the boys about that dream. Remember the dream, Thomas? Remember the dream you had? Where we were in the room watching YouTube. And the dream, in that dream, he said we were sitting in the bedroom watching YouTube videos. And a giant bee came in. A queen bee, he said, came in. Well, the YouTube videos we would have been watching will be my live streams. The YouTube videos I'm making now. Because my boys are time jumpers. The queen bee. The bee came in and the boys were collecting flowers for her. And she was so happy with the flowers she was being given. She was producing golden honey. And she let us, he said, and she let us take sips of the golden honey. And when we took sips, we saw our future. Well, you know the stuff that's just been going on about me with bees and Donald Trump. And the flowers they fed me was because, I mean, they're my biggest inspiration for like my books and stories, and they helped me produce a lot of it. You know, Gabriel was helping me with my foods and drinks, and that he was going to be my food and drink business partner. And Thomas was my, helping me write movies and game storylines and all of that. But then somebody rang the police and made a complaint because the honey was turning the street into a beautiful lush forest with big flowers and stuff, he said. And the police came. Someone called the police to make a complaint, and the police came and said, "What's going on here?" And I can't remember if he said I said to the police or whether the queen bee was talking to the police and explained, I think it was me. I went out and I said to the police, "This is what's going on." And they went, "Oh, okay then." And then he said that they tore the buildings of Wakefield down so that the flowers could grow. So I think the police must be watching behind closed doors, or the law and the police. They're putting two and two together. They're realising that I was telling the truth the whole time, that stuff he's saying isn't adding up, and he's not wanting people to know. Maybe they're interviewing him or re-examining the evidence or something. And they've realised that the stuff he's saying isn't making sense, but they can't find anything on me as to what he's saying because I can prove my backstory. I've been able to prove my backstory, which is why it was the backyard, peeking through the fence, my parents' old house. So that's it. So I've been able to prove my backstory. He can't. I've got an origin story with evidence for everything I've been able to claim. He doesn't. So whatever it is that he says I've stolen, he's about to be found out, and they're realising that because it was on paper, the stuff that he's put on paper doesn't make sense and he's hiding it. So they know he's committed perjury, that he's made false police statements. Made false police statements. It's perjury because you have to sign everything under oath. Because when I made my claim against him with the sexual assault, they made me go over everything with a fine-tooth comb before I signed off on, are you sure? Are you sure you did not consent? Are you sure? And I'm like, absolutely. I looked her dead in the eye. I said to her, you can get a doctor to examine me. Because, they can tell when a woman hasn't had sexuals. I said, I'll give a doctor consent to do an internal examination to prove I have not been sexually active. That was in 2022. It's 11 years now. Everything's probably sealed shut. Tumbleweed. So I think that's what my dream's talking about. Something's going on behind closed doors I'm being kept out of for my own protection. Because they've realised that something doesn't add up with his story. And my mum's letting me know, and she's saying just let the police do their job. And he's trying to downplay everything. Treating my boys like kids. Treating me and my boys like kids. Trying to downplay everything. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Oh, because that's where I didn't realise that it wasn't. I didn't realise what I was doing was wrong, is what he said. I didn't realise it was wrong. So he confessed to my boys. He's confessed to people. Because at first he said I was lying and making it all up. And then, obviously, as stuff has progressed with me doing my investigation, he's had to come up with a different story and change his story. And his story it was consensual, because that's what she said. Are you sure it wasn't consensual? The detective? I said it wasn't consensual. Consensual. It wasn't consensual. It wasn't sexual at all. He even forced my legs open once to try and perform the downstairs on me. Grabbed me by my ankles and ripped my legs apart. And I shot up out of the bed and I was like, what the hell are you doing? I was terrified. My heart was pounding. I can still feel where he left his mark on my hip and my butt and my back. It wasn't consensual sex. It wasn't sex. I wouldn't let him enter the Garden of Eden because I was saving myself for Martin. I was loyal to him. I was dedicated to him. I wanted to be nice and clean and pure and, turns out he didn't deserve it anyway. But I wouldn't give him what he wanted, so he would just help himself. He tried to get in the door, but I would pretend to be asleep and kind of, make out like when he was touching my body, it was steering me awake, and so, giving me the opportunity to change position. And he'd get shitty and then finish off. The thing is, when we were married, he never touched me. We went an entire year without him even holding my hand, let alone the sexuals. But after I ended our marriage and got with Martin and started planning a future with Martin, he wanted it all the time. And I was so scared. and I didn't know what to do, so I went to Joanne in Massachusetts, and I went to her and I said, I don't know what to do, and she said, put one of the kids in your bed. And so I moved Gabriel into my room, and he slept with me for like a year and a half. And Chris was forced to sleep downstairs. Well, I mean, he didn't have to. He could have had the other room, but he chose to sleep downstairs. And then when he started getting violent and smashing the house up and that, we started sleeping downstairs. It'd be me and Gabriel on the sofa and Thomas on the lazy boy chair, because we'd avoid him like the plague. And I just kept thinking, you'll get to America soon, you'll get to America soon. And then Martin left. See, this is the smoking the joint, looking at things from a higher perspective, from things that have already happened. Figuring it out from a higher perspective. Because that historical sexual assault case got moved up from just a police investigation to a criminal investigation, where I got given a detective, D.C. Reed his name is. And it's almost like all the trouble I've been causing, somebody's believed me. Somebody in the law, someone in the police, someone's believed me. Someone's believed me, and it's like they're looking back into things and they're realising from a higher perspective the stuff he's saying isn't adding up. And Mum's saying, this is happening, this is going on, let the police do their job and keep out of it. For your own protection, because every time I try and speak out he tries to have me hurt. That's what the boy said. That's what they told social services as well. We'll talk to you we'll tell you what happened when he's not around. Because every time we try to speak up, he hurts our mum. And this whole time I've been worried about him hurting them. So, yeah, so that's the dream. So we'll just have to wait and see now. I'm being told to get ready for some news then, obviously. So we'll just see what happens. And I know that they're looking into the whole thing with Martin and his lawsuit with the prison. So, yeah, we'll just see what happens. I think those two are about to get into a lot of trouble. I'll speak to you later. Oh, I just realised the chicken sandwich dream. Gabriel had a dream that me and the boys were making sandwiches. We had a sandwich factory in the kitchen, and the police came and arrested Thomas because he put mayo in the sandwich, or he didn't put mayo in the sandwich. And then when he got taken off by the police, everyone had a big party, and gold glitter and that was falling from the sky. And I said to the boys later on, that's because they're going to find out that Chris committed perjury. He put mayo in the sandwich, or he didn't put mayo in the sandwich. He left out information, or he lied. I can't remember whether it was put mayo in or left mayo out, but it was either that he didn't tell them the truth, left mayo out, or put mayo in, lied. And he got arrested for it. And Gabriel said, I didn't realise, in the dream he said, I didn't realise it was so illegal to not put mayo in a chicken sandwich. And I always knew it meant that eventually they were going to find out that Chris had lied, that he'd put stuff in that statement that were lies. And that's what he was going to get arrested for. And then we get to have a party. And the reason why it was Thomas who was arrested is because he's named after Chris. He's Thomas Christopher. So, and Christopher, Thomas is his great-granddad's name as well. He was named after his great-granddad and my cousin and my great-granddad. My great-great-granddad, Thomas. So, yeah. So we'll just see what happens. I'm obviously being told to get ready to get some news, so I'm going to go back to sleep and I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō. I just realised as well, he didn't pay tax on any of... He got paid $7,000 to design those Shrek shawls for the fetish stuff. And he never paid tax. So the Mayo, not Mayo, could be that they find out that, oh no, tax evasion, because he does a lot of freelance that he doesn't declare. He's probably gotten away with not paying. He's probably made about $100,000 in the last 20 years in freelance work that he's not declared. But I know when he made that range of Shrek shawls for the fetish club, he got $7,000 that he didn't declare. So it could be that. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'll speak to you later. Night night.